what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Many of you have now heard the term stepped-up basis and it possibly being eliminated, which is very concerning. I encourage you to schedule your free 15-minute consultation with attorney Harlan Mitchell to find out what you can do to protect yourself and your family. Schedule your appointment with attorney Harlan Mitchell by calling 256-216-9884 or by going to BamaEstatePlanning.com. Do it today. You've heard me talk about telemedicine at Trinity Medical Care Center here on The Mark White Show. With Trinity Medical Care Center's telemedicine, you can skip the commute and get the care you need from the safety and comfort of your own home. You can contact Trinity Medical Care Center by calling 256-489-3192. You can also schedule an appointment on the web by going to trinity-medicalcare.com. Again, give them a call at 256-489-3192 and give telemedicine a try today.
Hello, my name is Krysta Martinez. I'm a rising senior at Athens Bible School. My school is great because of the wonderful environment in which students can grow and flourish. We have great academics that include the University Preparatory Diploma and dual enrollment courses that lead to an associate's degree before high school graduation. All my teachers and the school's employees are Christians who are devoted to the welfare of students. We have an excellent student body, competitive sports program, and study the Bible first thing every day. It's a great place. Please consider joining us at ABS next year, or give that special child in your life the great opportunity I have.
Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta, Nashville, and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
You know, my mother used to say a long time ago, whenever there would be any real catastrophe that was in the movies or on the air, she would say, always look for the helpers. There will always be helpers, just on the sidelines. That's why I think that if news programs could make a conscious effort of showing anybody who is coming into a place where there's a tragedy, to be sure that they include that. Because if you look for the helpers, you'll know that there's hope.
Hey everybody, this is Daryl Worley, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. Hey, step up and make a difference like he does.
Hey y'all, this is Jeff Foxworthy, and you can make a huge difference in somebody's life. You just may not have figured out how yet, and that's why you're listening to The Mark White Show.
Hi, this is Maggie Peterson. I played Charlene Darling on The Andy Griffith Show, and you are listening to The Mark White Show.
Hi folks, this is Ricky Skaggs, and you're listening to The Mark White Show.
Hello, I'm Gene Stallings, and this is The Mark White Show. Get off the sideline and get involved and make a difference in your community.
You are listening to The Mark White Show. My daddy is your host, Mark White.
Do something good today.
Welcome to another edition of the Mark White Show. I am your host, Mark White, and right now, folks, I am in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, in the Shoals, Lauderdale County, Colbert County area. I went to school at Lauderdale County High School. Love this place, actually sitting next to Jill White, who is the wife of Philip White, who's been on the Mark White Show before, who also went to Lauderdale County High School. Across from me right now, I have Mr. Rodney Hall, and he is the owner, the president of Fame Recording Studios. Welcome to the Mark White Show, Rodney Hall.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be here.
There's a lot of history here, and of course, it began with your dad, Rick Hall.
Correct. Yep. My dad started Fame Publishing in 1959 with a couple partners, and they, after a couple years, split up, and he took the name Fame, which stood for Florence, Alabama Music Enterprises. He took it to Muscle Shoals and started the Muscle Shoals sound, and it all snowballed from there.
Well, as we were standing outside and I was talking to you about how it was for you as a child, but the fact is you grew up in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what I would be doing if not for that. I'd be probably pushing a wheelbarrow somewhere, which is what he would say.
Well, share some of the highlights of being a part of Fame Studios, something that's very important to you that you feel like is making a difference in your life even today.
Well, just the music we make and the artists we work with. I mean, we get the opportunity to work with some of the greatest artists in the world, and not just artists, but daily we get to work with some of the greatest musicians and songwriters and engineers and producers in the world. And that's just, I grew up idolizing a lot of the guys behind the scenes that we get to work with that, most people wouldn't even know who they were. They wouldn't know who Tom Dowd was or who Alan Shulman was, but they were the guys behind the scenes that were making these records sound the way they sound. And, that's the really fun part for me.
We talked about the impact that Fame Studios can have on the community as we bring people to Muscle Shoals and we invite them to Florence, to the Tri-Cities, Sheffield, Muscle Shoals, Tuscumbia, and get them to come to this area and see what the Shoals has to offer. You have observed that people love this place.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They love it. They always have. I saw my dad in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. He was bringing in record executives from Los Angeles and New York and London. I mean, all over the world. They were coming here to see what in the world was going on in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, where all these hits were coming out of here. And they came, and at the time, there was we had a Holiday Inn was the nicest hotel we had. There weren't a lot of restaurants. It was, mostly mom and pop type restaurants and truck stops and that kind of thing. But they loved it. They loved the laid back lifestyle, and it was. It just blew them away because they'd never seen anything like it, I guess.
Well, we have a lot of families, of course, in the Shoals area that love this community, love this place, and, of course, Fame Studios. We're sitting here with John Simpson right now with Boutique Air MSL out of Muscle Shoals. We all want to see our community benefit. We all want to see it grow. COVID-19 has hit this area and areas across this country in a way that we never could have imagined. But there are restaurants, as we mentioned, that are struggling. There are businesses, hoteliers are struggling. Events have taken its toll on events and other things that we would have had over 2020 that we could have enjoyed together. And so now we have to kind of throw a counterpunch and say, as we recover from COVID-19, lay out some plans to bring people back and keep people in this area.
Absolutely. And the people that have probably been hurt the most our live musicians. I mean, guys, and not only that, live sound guys. I mean, that whole industry in March stopped. It died on a dime, and it will probably be one of the last things to come back. You know, with that said, if you support your local musicians in any way you can. But yes, we need to plan. We need to start planning and we are. Jill and I are working on some things with the Muscle Shoals Music Association, some events, some things that when it opens back up, I think it's a critical and awesome time to be in the Shoals area because I think COVID's shown a lot of people where they don't want to be. And I think this is a great area. And, you know, my dad was one of the top record producers in the world in the late 60s and early 70s. He could have gone anywhere. But he chose here because he loved the people and he loved the area and he loved the lifestyle.
Well, I've had Don McLean on the show, and I love American Pie, but this is not the day the music died, and we're going to keep her going,
but
right?
Here is there's a tape of Dobie Gray singing American Pie right there.
How about that? You're president of the Muscle Shoals Music Association.
I am a figurehead. I do nothing.
Well, don't tell me that because they may find something for you to do.
No, you know, we basically are promoting the Muscle Shoals music industry to the world, and especially to the music industry around the world. You know, trying to bring people here to work, trying to bring people here to record, to live, all of that. You know, and it's just it's an organization that we're going to be growing the membership over the next few years, and or especially the next few months. And you know, it's just an organization that supports the Muscle Shoals music industry and brings the community together. And you know, the Muscle Shoals music community is a family. It's a small, tight-knit group. You know, there's probably a couple hundred of us. So we all, you know, for the most part know each other, especially the ones that have been around, the old dogs in the barn, so to speak. So, but it's a family, and that's part of the music association as well, is to grow that community and to bring others into the fold.
Well, speaking of growth, bringing others into the fold, membership, you have Jill White right next to you. I'd like for Jill to share a little bit about what she's trying to do to help bring this family to Muscle Shoals, how to increase this membership, how to strengthen our community through this organization.
Well, thank you, Mark. And it is so fun to meet you live and in person, because I know Philip, when he did your show, had a great time. So this is really fun today. And we share our last name, which is crazy. So I love that. But the Muscle Shoals Music Association has been a real treat for me. I was originally working with Rodney before I got involved with them, because Philip writes here at Fame. So he was coming in here, and Rodney and I got to do a fun project where I got to do a mini documentary on the first 10 years of Fame. It's about 15 minutes long, and when somebody comes to take a tour of Fame, they see this documentary before they get a tour, so that they have a real solid history of the first 10 years. So that led to me getting to work for the Music Association, and it's been just such a thrill for me, because what you may not know about me is I'm a singer. I'm a songwriter. That's how I
did actually know that about you. But go ahead.
And so I grew up with this love for music that it turned out was all made in Muscle Shoals. And I didn't realize it, although I did used to, scour through every bit of any information on an album cover that I could find back in the day, before the internet, before the interweb.
I was there too. You don't have to be embarrassed by it.
So for me to get to come to Muscle Shoals and work on that documentary with Rodney and realize that my foundation of music and every bit of it that I loved that I am sitting right in the studio where it was recorded and made, and that I'm actually looking at these tapes in front of me with the historic names on them of records that were done here has been a thrill of a lifetime for me.
Or a soundboard where Stevie Ray Vaughan touched it.
Hello. Yeah, recorded Texas Flood on it.
I can tell you enjoy those things, Jill.
Dang, and the Allman Brothers started. So I'm in hog heaven, basically working in Muscle Shoals, getting to work and be around all the musicians that created this music, and the history here has been incredible. And so one of my directives is to help build and grow the Muscle Shoals music into the world. You know, I'm here to help market and create a membership and of growth here where we can enjoy. People that live in Nashville and New York and LA and other music hubs can become a part of what we're doing here. They can travel on Boutique Air. They can, right, John? They can just jump on a plane. They can be here in minutes, and we can enjoy sharing our love for music and all around the world by bringing people here to the Shoals to record. So the membership with Muscle Shoals, we're just launching a new website that should be up soon. The Muscle Shoals Music Association.com will be up before we know it. And we'll be able to have some create new opportunities for fundraising, for doing some really fun events, and for creating membership with that.
Jill, if it's okay with you, I want to take a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to share exactly how people can be a partner with Muscle Shoals Music here in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, Fame Studios, be a part of what we're doing as a community. Will you stick with me, Jill?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Folks, right now we're in Fame Studios, Muscle Shoals, Alabama. You are listening to The Mark White Show, and I am your host, Mark White.
A little wink, a pat on the back, a big old hug, a little laugh. We can make a difference. All we have to do is try. Yeah, every day's a chance to change somebody else's life. Let's all do something good today.
The best way to buy, sell, and experience land is with Jonathan Berryhill. For your farm, ranch, recreational, hunting, timber, and acreage needs, contact National Land Realty Professional Jonathan Berryhill at 256-874-7354 or email at jberryhill@nationalland.com. Be sure to follow Jonathan Berryhill with National Land Realty on Facebook. This is your land. Thompson Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business serving the North Alabama and Southern Tennessee area. They are a Better Business Bureau A+ member since 2011 and a GAF Master Elite Contractor. Give them a call at 256-952-3309 or check them out on the web at 256roofing.com. They offer free inspections.
Thompson Roofing and Construction.
Is it time for a haircut? Go see my friends Philip Butler and B.H. Parker at Southwind Barbershop, located at 1637 Lee Street in Rogersville, Alabama. Give them a call at 256-247-5658. That's 256-247-5658.
Mr. Cecil Batchelor is the one that started this business as Dependable Service Center. And even though now it's Green's Dependable Hardware and we're a True Value store, our tagline is still Your Dependable Service Center. We've tried to keep that alive for all these years. Mr. Batchelor really started a good business. We're really excited to be carrying on a long-standing tradition. It's the oldest retail store in the city of Russellville. We're Green's Dependable Hardware, 15220A Highway 43 in Russellville, Alabama. We're right behind McDonald's or right across the street from the hospital. Number is 256-331-0123.
Your Dependable Service Center.
Hi, I'm Crystal Gale, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. And one smile can make a difference. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Someone loves you, I do.
works extra hard all day. He finishes up early so he can get away. 'Cause there's a blue-eyed kid on second base, wants dad to watch him play.
Welcome back to the Mark White Show. Right now, we're in Fame Recording Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Wow, what an incredible opportunity to sit here in this room with Mr. Rodney Hall, who's the president of Fame Studios, as well as Jill White. We've been talking about what we're trying to do to bring the community together in the Shoals area. And Jill, you've been sharing about that, and I want everyone who's listening right now to know what they can do to be a part of this special effort.
Well, thank you, Mark. We are launching a new website at muscleshoalsmusicassociation.com that will give everyone a great sense for recording and living in the Shoals. So if anybody's interested in coming here and learning more about what their lifestyle might be like, if they're in the music industry and they're ready to get out of some of the busier towns like Nashville and New York and LA, and they want to get to, live this great, sweet life down here in Alabama, they can learn more about it on our website. They can also learn how to become a member of the Muscle Shoals Music Association. We have different levels of members, from professional members to fan memberships to individual memberships, company memberships, big corporate sponsors. So we're looking for help in building our membership. And then another thing that we're really excited about is we're going to be able to have events that we are involved in promoting on our website, like the Operation Drumstick that is coming up April 3rd, that will benefit our membership through a fund set up with Music Cares. So we're working closely on partnering with Music Cares to bring some relief to musicians and members of our Muscle Shoals music community through Operation Drumstick that will be April 3rd. We'll have fundraising, we'll have events, we'll have some history of Muscle Shoals music and the Muscle Shoals Music Association. We'll have lifestyle and how you can enjoy Muscle Shoals life here, all tied into our website.
And I will say this, I feel like for a lot of people, music has helped them to get through COVID-19.
Absolutely. I think providing content at this time through different kinds of streaming shows and music and podcasts and is so important because people are isolated. We are open in Alabama. We want you to get on Boutique Air and fly down here and come see us and tour our studios and stay in our hotels and be part of what we're doing here in the Muscle Shoals area. But isolation has been a huge problem during COVID, and there's been lots of great new songs written, lots of great albums released, and some of them right here, as you know, at Fame. But we really do feel for people, and we're ready to let you all know that you can come visit us. We're ready. If you can get here to Muscle Shoals, we'd love to see you. We'd love to have you be part of it. We'll hopefully be doing some live concerts and shows as the summer goes on and into the fall. We're definitely ready to get back to live music. And in the meantime, we're going to work on providing some other content out of the studios here that you can look forward to also through Fame, as well as the Muscle Shoals Music Association.
Well, speaking again of Fame, I have to ask Rodney, are you ready?
Yeah, I've been ready. We've been open, doing a good bit of recording, but love to do some more. When we've got the spring schedule starting to get full, and that's great news. But yeah, we're absolutely ready to open up. We're open. Come see us.
Well, we appreciate you, Rodney Hall, taking time here on the Mark White Show today, and I hope you as listeners have gotten something from this conversation that helps to encourage you and inspire you to know that there are people who are trying to make a difference every single day. And right here in the Shoals, in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, at Fame Recording Studios, ideas are flowing. I can tell you, I've been sitting here for a few minutes and the ideas are flowing. I want you to come up with ideas yourself. I want you to think about ways and opportunities that you can make a difference right where you are. If you're not in the Shoals area and you're somewhere else, there is an opportunity for you to make a difference in your community. We have John Simpson next to us, and I do want to again say, if you want to come to Muscle Shoals, fly through Boutique Air. They're connected with American Airlines, so you've got an opportunity to connect from American Airlines through Boutique Air. Go to boutiqueair.com and make your flight to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Especially, folks, if you're listening from Nashville, Atlanta, even Pensacola now, you can fly to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Free parking. Free parking. Wow, who does that at an airport? They do it at Boutique Air at Northwest Alabama Regional Airport. Thank you, Rodney Hall, for joining me here on the Mark White Show. Mark. Thank you, Jill White, for joining me on the Mark White Show.
Thank you for having us, Mark. It's been so much fun.
Enjoyed it. When we come back, we're going to have Krysta Wallrauch on the show. She is a voiceover actress and plays Grandma Yeti on Junga the Dancing Yeti. After that, we'll have a brand new episode of Kyla's Korner from Kyla Carter, followed by the Make a Difference Minute Replay. You are listening to The Mark White Show, and I am your host, Mark White.
A special kind of hero. No ordinary hero. Talking about a hero. Special kind of
If you like hickory smoked ribs that fall apart at the slightest pull, or barbecue shoulders that are so slow smoked each tender bite melts in your mouth, then you are going to love Baby Jack's Barbecue. Baby Jack's Barbecue in Bartlett and Arlington. Try the barbecue chicken, beef brisket sandwich, barbecue potato, it is huge, or the Baby Jack Trio, pork, turkey, or beef brisket sliders. You like wet ribs? They like dry ribs. Get one slab that has them both. Catering? Baby Jack's can feed a family or an army. Drive in, drive through, order online, or come in and set a minute. Baby Jack's Barbecue in Bartlett at Highway 70 in Appling, or in Arlington at Highway 70, just a block west of 385.
He's got a cold, nothing to worry about.
Just need a couple of stitches.
Your COVID rapid test is negative.
Oh boy, X-ray shows it's broken.
Trust Trinity Medical Care when you need urgent care or routine medical care. Walk-ins are welcome, or let Trinity help you virtually with telemedicine. Visit trinity-medicalcare.com for more information and follow them on Facebook. Trinity Medical Care, where your care comes first. Located on Governor's Drive and South Parkway.
Hello, my name is Krysta Martinez. I'm a rising senior at Athens Bible School. My school is great because of the wonderful environment in which students can grow and flourish. We have great academics that include the University Preparatory Diploma and dual enrollment courses that lead to an associate's degree before high school graduation. All my teachers and the school's employees are Christians who are devoted to the welfare of students. We have an excellent student body, competitive sports program, and study the Bible first thing every day. It's a great place. Please consider joining us at ABS next year, or give that special child in your life the great opportunity I have.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Losing a loved one is hard, but losing a loved one and not having an estate plan is even harder. Attorney Harlan Mitchell witnessed what not having an estate plan can do to families and decided to use his experience to do something about it. I encourage you to go to BamaEstatePlanning.com or give Harlan Mitchell a call at 256-216-9884. Again, that website is BamaEstatePlanning.com. Let Harlan Mitchell help you with estate planning. Do it for those you love, and do it today. Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta, Nashville, and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week, with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
Red and yellow and pink and green, purple and orange and blue. I can sing rainbow to you. Listen to your eyes, listen to your eyes.
You can sing
a rainbow, sing a rainbow,
sing along with me.
Red and yellow and pink and green, purple and orange and blue.
Welcome to another edition of the Mary Faye Hedrick Good Deeds segment. I am so glad you could join us on this Saturday morning. And right now I have Krysta Wallrauch on the line with me, and she is part of Junga the Dancing Yeti series with Stephen Tako, who you heard just a few weeks ago, and also my friend Kyla Carter, who is now going to be part of the team as Heidi, and her brother Camden as well. Welcome to the Mark White Show, Krysta.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark.
You are a voiceover actress, and you have done some amazing work. I noticed the other day that you had a trophy in your hand, and I know that those things matter. Those things show that you are doing something that you're meant to be doing, and I know that you have a lot going on in your work as a voiceover actress.
I certainly do these days. I'm pretty much busy all the time, so between that and homeschooling, my plate is always full.
Well, I'm glad that you could be with us today, and we can talk a little bit about your work as a voiceover actress, and namely your work as Grandma Yeti on Junga the Dancing Yeti, which is quite intriguing as we cover the subject of bullying. Want to have a message of anti-bullying across the country and the world to treat each other with respect and kindness.
I totally agree. It's one of those, I was very just honored and just thrilled to really meet Stephen and start this. It's like a family now. And so meeting Kyla and her brother Camden, it's really been just an honor and a lot of fun, and welcoming them into the family, it's wonderful. And having been a victim of bullying, you know, my heart really gravitates to Stephen's vision for this. So I believe that God appointed me for voice acting. I did not choose it. I did a whole lot of things, including, you know, working for doctors and surgeons, and I was in the business field. And when I had a son with autism, we began to homeschool. I started doing odd jobs here and there, cleaning at night so that I could school him and then my daughter. And my husband started to look into voice acting. I had no idea he was researching it. And we did meet in theater. So I have a theater background and a singing background. But I just didn't know it was a thing. And so I was trying to support him. And lo and behold, my demo got out there because I did that because, you know, just to support him. He wanted me to do that. But I started making money. And when that happened, he said, you know what? I want to support you in this. And he found me some coaches, and the rest is history. I just started coaching, and it just kind of took off.
What a story. And that is a message for people who are listening right now who may be thinking that they're not on the right path. Of course, you were trying to make a difference in your son's life, being there for him and being a support for him and your family. And then with Grandma Yeti, that was a wonderful opportunity for you.
I remember the moment that Stephen sent me the picture of Grandma Yeti, not knowing who he wanted her to be. And when I saw the picture of her, it was destiny. Like, I'm like, that is who I am. I know exactly what her voice is. And you know, of course, he felt the same way. So it was absolutely fantastic, and it's been ever since.
I thought it was interesting, too, to see the comparison between Kyla and Heidi. It matched up really well with the appearance of a real human being compared to an artist rendering of Heidi.
Isn't that incredible? I thought the exact same thing. Exactly. Yeah, it was amazing. Definitely destiny.
When Stephen came on the program and we were able to talk about Junga the Dancing Yeti, I felt it was very important that the message of anti-bullying be out there through the Mark White Show, because I was a person who was subjected to bullying as well when I was in school and even out of school. I would say even as a law enforcement officer, there are experiences that we have in life that lead us to where we are. And I would say that being mistreated by others has led me to this concept of the Mark White Show, to recognize difference makers and to share their stories, to encourage and inspire us all. And you never know, Krysta, the person I may be interviewing or talking to is a person who has struggled, but they worked through that struggle and they found something that they could make a difference. And I'm more than happy to be able to give them a voice at that point in their life.
I totally agree. And it's one of the reasons why I really admire what you're doing. I've listened to some of how you've talked about what you've been through. And I mean, it makes a difference, because a lot of people that are bullied, they can get lost in depression
Yes.
and hopelessness and feeling like, I want to die. And I don't want that for any living being. God created and on this earth for a purpose, which is good. So I'm really thankful for your show and all that you bring to it and the people that come on there and share their heart. It's an encouragement. It's like a soothing balm to people, and we need more of it in the world.
Well, and I hope that the subjects I cover are reaching people and allowing them to find their purpose in organizations, foundations, individuals, families, groups, people who step out there, who put themselves out there for people to show their vulnerability, their weaknesses. I'm a person who has always wanted, because of the bullying, because of the emotions I felt, I was a person who always wanted to put myself in the best light and not have people see my vulnerabilities. But yet, when you have depression and you have those things going on in your life, it's okay to let people know that you struggle, yet you're finding ways to counter that with real opportunities to make a difference.
Exactly. Because once you heal, you want others to heal. Almost like we're these lay counselors that once we have been set free, we're not under that bondage anymore. We want to help other people to get out of it too, and to also be that encouragement to them. And, so I agree with that.
Absolutely, because we think about freedom a lot. We talk about freedom in this country, in the United States especially, but sometimes we're not free from ourselves. We talk about freedom in a generic sense as opposed to our individual freedom and allowing ourselves freedom.
Yep. And isn't it good to know that there are safe people out there that, regardless of how you're feeling, because feelings are real, even if the circumstances surrounding it, they can be kind of not the same thing as what we're feeling, but there are people who are gentle and they have empathy and compassion, and they can help that person along. And I just, that's so powerful to me. That means more to me than most anything these days, especially with so many people suffering.
Absolutely. And it's so good to remember that when we do have successes, when things happen to us in a positive way, that we don't forget where we came from and what led us to that point, because forgetting can cause us to not be a help to people and to reach out, so to speak, and lift them up because we've forgotten that we were in the same position at one time.
Exactly. It's like not investing. It's like you find money, but you don't do anything with it. You just hide it away. You're like, wow, that's a fortune. And then you don't do anything with it.
Yes.
Like you don't want to do that because you want to return for it because it makes more.
Speaking of returns, as I mentioned, you received an award recently and you shared a picture of that on your Instagram. Let's talk about that award. What was it and what was it for?
It's called a SOVAS. It stands for the Society of Voice Arts. So Rudy and Joan started the Society of Voice Arts, and basically it is kind of like the Academy Award or the Globes or whatever for voice arts, for the voice actors. The same year that I won an award, Mark Hamill was awarded with an Icon Award. So it's a prestigious thing. I look at it more in a way of saying I have matured. I didn't want to admit that I wasn't a newbie voice actor anymore. I wanted to hold on to that safety of I'm new, but I'm not new. And I do understand more about the industry and what I do and my craft. And that award is that certification for me saying, yes, I am vetted and established and a professional. And so I did it afraid. I'm one of those people that I'm afraid of doing certain things, of stepping out. So even submitting for that, I did it afraid, not thinking I would win. I just told myself, I don't want to be afraid. So I'm going to submit. And that's what I did. And then when I was nominated for a couple of spots, then I was scared again. And I was like, uh-oh, I just, I wasn't thinking this was going to go anywhere. And so I was nominated. And I was like, okay, that's okay. I don't have to win. And when they called one of my friends' names before mine. And I was in the country like taking a sabbatical. And so it was horrible Wi-Fi. But a friend of mine won, and I said, oh, okay, well, there's that category. And I said, but I did fine. And then I heard them say there was another winner. My sister-in-law looked at me and said, I know it's you. And they said my name. And she's squealing, and I'm just in shock, like, what just happened? So it's one of those nice moments where it's very sobering. And it just actually, I was thankful. I mean, my whole life, I'm going to digress a little bit from the award to just say my whole reason for diving into voice acting was to create a platform for my son with autism, because I felt like, you know what? I hadn't finished my degree. I hadn't done all these things. And here I was working towards helping him get to that next place and pushing through the fear. And that's what started me on this whole journey. So every time I do something, I think of him, and I'm, from riding a bike to getting on a plane and going cross country, which I did as a voice actor, which I'd never done before. And when I did it, I was able to say to him, do it afraid. And he'd ask me, were you afraid? Yes, I was. Do it anyway.
Amazing. Just yesterday, Krysta, I had Amy Sparks on the program. She's a teacher of 30 years. She had a son with autism. His name was Jared. I dedicated yesterday's show to Jared. He passed away in an accident, but it led Amy to start a school called the School of Hope in Fayetteville, North Carolina, for young people with autism. And she did it all in honor of her son, Jared. I can see a comparison between what you're saying about your own son and what Amy's doing now in honor of her son, Jared.
See, that's beautiful. Like, I love that. Makes my heart hurt. But at the same time, it's like he inspired her just like my son inspires me. And I'm so thankful for people like her, because it's hard to raise children in and of itself. When you have a child with a disability, it adds a layer to it. And it's like you got to roll up your sleeves, and you're both fighting this battle, but from different sides. And you both learn from one another. So I'm proud of your friend, and I honor people like that.
We continue to move forward and press forward in honor of people that we love and care about. And, of course, you are right now on the Mary Faye Hedrick Good Deeds segment, which was named for my grandmother, who passed away on March 29th, 2018. And she raised me, and so I named this segment in honor of her. We can all do that for people that we love and care about, whether they're living or not. I think if people are living, the main thing, Krysta, is to let them know that we love them and we care about them, and that we want to honor them for their contribution to our life.
Indeed. I totally agree with that.
After they're gone, it's too late.
I know, right?
If they're gone, you can't tell them. You can certainly take some actions that show what they meant to you, but you can't verbally say that. So I feel like being able to say that, and then when they're gone, be able to carry on their legacy, is really a great combination to know I showed them I loved them, I cared about them, and now I'm carrying on their legacy today.
That's right. And it's an honor to them. It really is. And it shows how much they meant to you and what the seeds they planted in your life. I just think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful, because I know when I die, I don't want people to post a bunch of pictures of me with them to say they knew me. I'd rather that my life showed something that made a difference in theirs, that makes them want to do better. That would mean a lot to me.
I had no idea what direction this conversation would go, Krysta. I don't have notes in front of me. I don't have pre-planned questions, but I enjoyed the direction that this conversation has gone, because it really does reveal a lot about ourselves and what we're trying to do here in our life to make a difference. And I know that someone listening right now, it's having an impact on them, and their wheels are turning. They're thinking about, what can I do? And there are plenty of things that a person can do, especially when they focus on other people.
And I'll tell you a secret. As a kid, I wanted to be famous. Somewhere along the lines, as I grew up, I realized I was an introvert, and I really had a hard time being around people and on stage. So doing voice acting allowed me to use my skills without having to be in front of people all the time, because I am a private person. And I prefer, I love the people that aren't seen, that people have no idea how they're impacting the world for good, because they're not trying to be seen. They're just trying to use their heart in good ways that's outward focused, like not on them, but on other people. And that's really all I ever wanted. I was like, well, that's what I want.
It takes time to figure that out, though, sometimes, Krysta. I played football. I was a kicker in high school. My dream was to play for the University of Alabama, and I walked on as a kicker as part of my dream and my vision of going on to the NFL and being a place kicker. I also could sing pretty good, and so I thought that I was one day going to be this famous singer and all these different things that Mark White had in his head, and I never once thought about what I'm doing now with the Mark White Show to recognize people in the way that I do and to find myself talking to people day in and day out about the various efforts that they're involved in to try to make a difference. But I tell you, I love this more than any field goal or extra point I ever kicked or any song I ever sang.
Oh, I can imagine. It's giving life to others. It's giving life. And it's encouraging and it's impactful. That has to have a wonderful return on your heart and your spirit, because I know my greatest joy is in helping other people. It helps me somehow too. So I'm honored by you, and I'm thankful for what you're doing. And I love seeing when you honor people even that have gone on, and when you send out the prayer requests and all those things. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Krysta. And I do want people, if you want to, you can share how people can connect, how they can find some of your work, or connect with you on Instagram will be fine if you'd like to do that. Okay,
that's great. The best way to get in touch with my work is at my website. It is KrystaWallrauch.com, and then I'm going to spell it for you because it's a good one. KrystaWallrauch.com.
Krysta, as I said, Kyla Carter's coming up on Kyla's Corner here in just a minute. Kyla Carter is going to share a message about responding to people. In this age of technology, we email, we text, we send DMs. You were one of those people who was quick to respond to me, and I appreciate that. But the fact that we send out these messages to people and they don't respond, Kyla's going to address that. And I think it's a great conversation to have in the age of technology where it's so easy to try to connect but have people not respond or just ignore you. I think it's an important subject. And as you know, Kyla is now part of Junga the Dancing Yeti series as Heidi. Yeah. I'm excited about that. But Kyla, in her messages week in and week out, she tries to give a personal message, a message that is a message of encouragement to young people. And I really appreciate that about Kyla. And I'm glad that she's part of the Junga the Dancing Yeti team along with her brother Camden now.
I am very delighted with Kyla. Her heart and her spirit come through everything about her. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic to work with both of them. I look forward to meeting Camden personally because I haven't had an opportunity. I've just seen his picture, but I know it's going to be good. And I'm looking forward to hearing Kyla's newest podcast as well.
Well, you keep up the good work, Krysta. I appreciate you as well. And thank you for joining me here on the Mark White Show today during the Mary Faye Hedrick Good Deed segment.
Thank you again for having me. God bless you.
God bless you. Krysta Wallrauch, everybody, joining us here on the Mark White Show today. As I said, Kyla Carter will be coming up next with Kyla's Corner. You are listening to the Mark White Show, and I am your host, Mark White.
Shout a friendly hi when they go passing by, who live and love in my hometown. These are my kind of people.
Hi, everybody. This is DJ Thomas. You know, raindrops may be falling on your head, but on Kyla's Corner, she's living life sunny side up.
For his bed, nothing seems to fit.
I'm not your average puzzle piece. I don't give in or give up. I'll always know that I'm enough. I'm not your average puzzle piece or the perfect
Korner. I'm Kyla Carter, and I hope to inspire you to spread positivity, happiness, and kindness through these segments. I live my life sunny side up, and I hope you can too. In today's society, we have all become accustomed to communicating through text and email. It is often easier to write a quick message than to communicate with someone in person. We have also become accustomed to sharing messages and receiving messages via social media networks. This way of communication has been great for me because it has allowed me to connect with so many people around the world and share my messages and music with everyone. However, living in an era of small screens does have its disadvantages. The problem is twofold for me. I find that there can be a lack of responsiveness or even empathy when communicating via text or email. Have you ever received an email or a text that you did not want to answer? Being on one side of a screen definitely gives you an advantage. You don't ever have to answer. But is that the right thing to do? Think about it. If you are having an in-person conversation with someone, you are obligated to answer immediately. You can't just bail out, stop responding, or walk away. That would be rude. It is the wrong thing to do. In real life, you can't be left unread, seen, or delivered. However, when communicating online, you can just ignore or ghost someone you don't want to talk to. That's where unresponsiveness becomes a big problem. It also goes hand in hand with lacking empathy and respect for people that are trying to communicate with you. You can easily ignore the message as you cowardly hide behind the screen of your computer or phone. You can ignore any and all personal connections to that person. Today, I felt the need to shed some light on this subject because I want my listeners to think about how hurtful it could be not getting a response, or worse, getting a response that is rude or inappropriate. We have to remember that there is another person on the other side of the screen, a human being with a heart that took the time out of their life to write you because you were important enough. Recently, I sent a very important email to a teacher, letting him know that I would unfortunately no longer have the time in my schedule to participate in an after-school activity. I was very thorough and thoughtful when drafting the words, and I thanked him for the time that he had given me and respectfully dropped out of the activity. That email was drafted just about a week ago, and I didn't receive an email back from him. Now, to be clear, I didn't expect a long response back, but I did expect a thank you for your time, or just a simple, okay. A few days later, I saw him in class, and he simply didn't bring it up at all. This left me thinking, does he not like me? Did he not want me to be a part of this activity to begin with? This wasn't a good feeling, and quite honestly, it was not professional. So, today, my advice to all of my listeners is to be respectful, responsive, and empathetic. Don't ghost someone because you're upset, mad, or you don't like them. Talk it out. Communicate! I learned a valuable lesson this week. Someone disappearing on you does not reflect your worth. It reflects their fear of being seen for who they really are. So, live, learn, and always find, as I do, your sunny side up.
I'll always know that I'm enough.
I'm Kyla Carter, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. Stay unique and find a way to make a difference that doesn't just impact you, but impacts others around you.
Welcome to the Make a Difference Minute replay, where we play Make a Difference minutes from the past week. Welcome to another edition of the Make a Difference Minute from the Mark White Show, where we're sharing stories to encourage and inspire. Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta, Nashville, and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week, with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
This is the Make a Difference Minute
from the Mark White Show.
We're headed to the Chicago, Illinois area to talk to Stacy Reyes about her daughter Lizzie, who is in need of a kidney right now.
Thank you. So Lizzie is kind of quiet and shy. For school, she was very active. She played the viola since 4th grade. She was in lots of peer mediation. She was a peer mediator. She was in yearbook club, like all of these fun clubs and after-school activities she always wanted to be involved in. She's a huge animal lover. She just is a positive spirit. Even through all of this, she still remains positive. Definitely an inspiration for a lot of other kids that are going through the same thing. And Lizzie has just kind of accepted it, and she is just, this is what we're doing, and I can't, feel sorry for myself. Elizabeth actually has a Facebook page. It's called Love for Lizzie, Lizzie, Reyes, Reyes. All of the contact information for her transplant coordinator is listed on that page, as well as Lizzie's entire story. I can also give my personal email, and if people just want to directly email me, and I can always answer questions for them. And then if they pass the initial test questionnaire, I can give them the information for the transplant coordinator. So my personal email is reyesfamily2210@gmail.com. We did have a lot of people that wanted to send things. Love for Lizzie, P.O. Box 322. The address is 2364 Essington Road, Joliet, Illinois, 60435.
Be sure to follow The Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today. Welcome to another edition of the Make a Difference Minute from The Mark White Show, where we're sharing stories to encourage and inspire.
Experience the difference at Athens Bible School. The vision and purpose is to provide each student a quality education in a Christ-centered environment to develop the whole person spiritually, mentally, physically, and socially in safe and supportive surroundings. The solid biblical foundation permeates learning and culture in the classrooms and every extracurricular activity.
This is the Make a Difference Minute
from The Mark White Show.
I was a teen. You were a teen. You actually may be a teen right now. I don't know who's listening, but if you're a teenager and you're listening right now and you have thoughts of taking your life, I want you to, first off, change your thinking. I want you to know that there are people who care about you and want you to live and want you to live as full a life as possible. And right now I have on the line with me licensed clinical social worker Belinda Hartzell. She's been a friend of mine all the way back to when I was born. She's a lifelong friend, and she has been helping young people for many years now, and I want her to share about teen suicide awareness.
Thank you, Mark. I see clients who, right now, especially in this pandemic culture, have a lot of hopelessness, a lot of feelings of lack of control over anything in their world, and those things promote possibly budding of depression or other serious mental health problems. Right now, I know in my town where I live, in Auburn and Opelika, there's no one accepting new patients right now, no therapists or psychologists, because they're just super booked. There's a big need right now. People are reaching out for help. There's so much to learn from young people, and I try very hard to listen and learn myself, when I'm with a young person who happens to be one of my clients. To parents who have children who are not teens yet, just remember that you've got some years there. You can be focused on building a relationship with your child and build good communication patterns. Be able to say, I'm sorry, be able to listen and try to say back to your little child what you heard them say, and be real.
Be sure to follow The Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today. Welcome to another edition of the Make a Difference Minute from The Mark White Show, where we're sharing stories to encourage and inspire.
Mr. Cecil Batchelor is the one that started this business as Dependable Service Center. And even though now it's Green's Dependable Hardware and we're a True Value store, our tagline is still Your Dependable Service Center. We've tried to keep that alive for all these years. Mr. Batchelor really started a good business. We're really excited to be carrying on a long-standing tradition. It's the oldest retail store in the city of Russellville. We're Green's Dependable Hardware, 15220A, Highway 43 in Russellville, Mobile, Alabama. We're right behind McDonald's or right across the street from the hospital. Number is 256-331-0123.
Your dependable service center.
This is the Make a Difference Minute
From the Mark White Show.
On this Make a Difference Minute, I have Dana Fitch with the 42 Foundation located in Swansea, Illinois.
Thank you very much.
This organization was founded in honor of your brother, Jesse Lucas Hacker. Share with listeners the story of your brother and how 42 Foundation came to be.
2006 was when the accident happened. Jesse was just kind of starting off his adult life. He had a girlfriend that had a little boy who was 5. They had just bought a house. We believed, his sister's his brother, and I believed that he would like his girlfriend and her child to stay in the house as long as they were able to. So that was our first thing to do. Just a month later, we had a benefit, a dinner auction to raise money to keep Sarah in the house. They stayed there for quite a few years. The benefit was successful. It was something we had to do. I don't know what else we would have done. Just grieve. That's hard enough on a person, but I guess that was our way of just figuring something we had to do to keep telling his story. He loved kids. He loved football. We just put them together, and our biggest event yearly is a flag football tournament. Our biggest goal, and I appreciate you allowing us the time to talk about my brother, tell his story. We just took his love for children and went with it. I'm thinking he's probably pretty proud of us, hopefully at least.
And we appreciate the work of 42 Foundation. And Dana Fitch, I appreciate you joining me here on the Mark White Show to talk about this very special foundation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been 15 years, and we've met a lot of amazing children, a lot of very encouraging families.
I encourage you to follow the 42 Foundation on Facebook as well as 42foundation.com. Be sure to follow the Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today. Welcome to another edition of the Make a Difference Minute from the Mark White Show, where we're sharing stories to encourage and inspire. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Many of you have now heard the term stepped-up basis and it possibly being eliminated, which is very concerning. I encourage you to schedule your free 15-minute consultation with attorney Harlan Mitchell to find out what you can do to protect yourself and your family. Schedule your appointment with attorney Harlan Mitchell by calling 256-216-9884 or by going to BamaEstatePlanning.com. Do it today. This is the Make a Difference Minute
From the Mark White Show.
Thanks to my friends at the American Childhood Cancer Organization, I have with me two-time Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen, Hannah Adams. A childhood cancer survivor herself, Hannah Adams is now an advocate for pediatric cancer.
Yes, absolutely. It has inspired me to want to provide hope to these families, as well as hopefully help us ultimately find a cure through collaborative efforts. I think that when people work together, that's when we're going to make the most progress. American Childhood Cancer Organization is the oldest and largest pediatric cancer nonprofit, and they do so much with advocating for children through national priority in the policies and the research and the awareness efforts. It's incredible, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. You can go on to acco.org to visit their website and learn all about everything that they're doing in childhood cancer endeavors, as well as you can find them on Instagram. I believe it is acc.org, and you can see some of the awesome stuff that they're posting about childhood cancer. My Instagram is @hannah.adams06. My Twitter is HannahAdams06. And then on Facebook, I'm Hannah Adams. And then I also have a personal website, and that is hannahleeadams.com.
We've been talking to Hannah Adams, and we have been focused on childhood cancer. And I hope that you will find your purpose in these children that are battling cancer every single day and the families that struggle because of it. And we want to do what we can to make a difference. Be sure to follow The Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today. Welcome to another edition of the Make a Difference Minute from The Mark White Show, where we're sharing stories to encourage and inspire. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Many of you have now heard the term stepped-up basis, and it possibly being eliminated, which is very concerning. I encourage you to schedule your free 15-minute consultation with attorney Harlan Mitchell to find out what you can do to protect yourself and your family. Schedule your appointment with attorney Harlan Mitchell by calling 256-216-9884 or by going to bamaestateplanning.com. Do it today. This is the Make a Difference Minute
from the Mark White Show.
My friend Ashley Dixon shared her story of endometriosis, and I wanted to bring awareness to this subject. I know that there are many women out there who are listening right now. There are those that you're connected with that need to hear this message. I connected with the Endometriosis Foundation of America. They connected me with Melissa Boudreau. Right now, I'd like to welcome Melissa Boudreau to the Mark White Show. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it, and I am glad we are talking about such an important topic today. I started having very painful cramps as an adolescent, so in my early teen years, and I thought it was normal. When I say painful, I mean doubled over on the couch, taking Advil, nothing's working. My grandma told me it was normal. I remember her being like, "Oh, I was like you. You're just one of those girls. You just have this very painful period." And I said, okay. So I was very frustrated. I really trusted my gut. And that's my advice I give to people all the time. You just know when something's wrong. Some professionals aren't trained to know the signs and symptoms the way an endometriosis specialist would be. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. And the foundation also has wonderful social media channels with a lot of information, endo stories on the website, really great ways to just start on this journey. Or if you're in this journey and you don't know which steps to take next, both are very helpful places to go.
Go to endofound.org for the Endometriosis Foundation of America. Melissa, it's been a real pleasure having you here on the Mark White Show to join me.
Thank you so much, and thank you again for having the show and talking about this important subject. We really appreciate it.
Be sure to follow The Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today. Welcome to another edition of the Make a Difference Minute from The Mark White Show, where we're sharing stories to encourage and inspire.
He's got a cold, nothing to worry about.
Just need a couple of stitches.
Your COVID rapid test is negative.
Oh boy, X-ray shows it's broken.
Trust Trinity Medical Care when you need urgent care or routine medical care. Walk-ins are welcome, or let Trinity help you virtually with telemedicine. Visit trinity-medicalcare.com for more information and follow them on Facebook. Trinity Medical Care, where your care comes first. Located on Governor's Drive and South Parkway.
This is the Make a Difference Minute
from the Mark White Show.
This Make a Difference Minute is part 2 with licensed clinical social worker Belinda Hartzell as we bring awareness to teen suicide, mental health, and well-being.
An interesting signal, one of the warning signs is if they react negatively or don't respond to praise. Compliments and praise and affirmations are something that young people need. We all need that. But if you are doing that for your child, saying those things, and they don't respond to it, they don't care, they respond negatively, that is a warning sign that something's going on with them. You know, a lot of warning signs about suicide are really the same signs of depression. Parents need to familiarize themselves with that. If their child has lots of changes or has basic changes in sleeping, eating, activities, like loss of interest in things that they would normally have been interested in, or withdrawal from friends and family. You know, boredom is a huge problem in the culture of young people. And interestingly, things like social media, in a way, they can kind of promote a kind of boredom, a kind of mental lethargy that's really not healthy. If your young person starts to neglect their hygiene or their appearance, that's not good. That's something you need to look at. But especially if your young person says, I just want to kill myself, or I am no good, y'all would be better off if I weren't here. Do not ignore that. That is a cry for help. Take that seriously. You know, I have worked with several people whose parents or siblings or someone would say, well, yeah, they just said they don't want to live anymore, but I know they would never do anything like that. That's not true. Stop. Take that seriously.
This is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today. Once again, I'd like to thank my friend John Simpson with Boutique Air, Muscle Shoals, for connecting me with Fame Recording Studios to talk to Jill White and Rodney Hall. We also appreciate Krysta Wallrauch joining us here on The Mark White Show, as well as the brand new episode of Kyla's Korner from Kyla Carter. You can follow Kyla Carter on Facebook and Instagram at Kyla D. Carter, as well as Kyla's Korner podcast. The Mark White Show has now hit a major milestone as we have now produced 1,000 episodes of The Mark White Show, whether it be a Make a Difference Minute, the Mary Faye Hedrick Good Deed segment, or The Mark White Show. I hope that you can go back to this archive and you can find stories and messages that will encourage and inspire you to make a difference. So many individuals, families, groups, organizations, foundations have joined me here on The Mark White Show to share the work that they're doing. And I've been encouraged by it, and I hope you have too. You have been listening to another edition of The Mark White Show, and this is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today.
Well, let's all do something good today. Something good today.